Hello, YouTube land. This is Brenton coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. Before we get started, I'd like to say that anyone out there who has a good story, whether it be Bigfoot, Dogman, any other kind of cryptid or interesting, mysterious story of supernatural and so on, you can contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com. and give me a brief description of your story and contact information. If you would like me just to read the story, just say, read the story. I'd rather not come on the show. Now, if anyone wants to contribute to help me make this show, and these contributions do help me quite a bit for lots of different reasons. I am wanting to do some upgrading of microphones and things like that here soon, and other kinds of gear also. You can go to a link in the description, PayPal me. It's super easy to use. Just click it, and it's you don't need a bunch of information. You can do through PayPal me, or you can go to PayPal and just type in brentonsawin@gmail.com. And every contribution is very much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, now Thrunite, I really enjoy getting these products from Thrunite. Now they just send me this stuff and ask me if I will talk about the products, and I keep the flashlights, and sometimes they do the giveaway stuff, and I've mailed those off to the people who had won, and I hope to hear back from them soon. And they're very nice products. I'm telling you that I wouldn't do this if they weren't. Maybe one day when I get a big enough audience, they're not even pay me or something. I don't know, but anyway, it's been fun doing this, and I hope you all can be patient enough to let me show you some of these really neat products they have. And anyway, they sent this new one, and it is a pen light, and I'm gonna show you what I think is cool about it. Very, very beautiful light, for one. It feels nice. It's, you know how when you get something that's quality, like a Leatherman or something, and you put it in your hand and you feel, it's like, wow, that's quality. That's the way these things come off to me. They're just super good quality, and the bulbs they have in these things are yellow. They're square, and they're like 20-year bulbs, and it's unbelievable how bright they are in person when you're using one of these. I don't know if you can tell on the camera so much, but just super quality, man. And I really like the alloy, whatever this is, material is. It just feels really, really nice. It even actually is rated for being waterproof. I don't know if water can't get in it, but it will still operate even if you get it in water. It rates as waterproof anyway. But this one, when you click it, you go through Firefly, is what that lowest thing is called, and then medium, high, and if you go through it twice, Firefly, medium, high, hold on. Okay, I think you stroll through it twice, you hit strobe. I think I went through it too fast. But the strobe is nice if you were stranded or something. You can you can get attention with it. I was going to take this one and put it on the visor of my truck, and have a good up to like 300 lumens, I think it is. And another thing I like about this one too is you can go through the modes by, on Firefly. It always starts on Firefly, and you can twist this on and off basically and go through the modes. Twist it there. Basically, you're turning it on and back on, off on, and it makes it switch through the modes. Or when it's on, you can press this, but not click it. Just kind of, you're tapping it, and you can go through the modes. Firefly, medium, high, strobe. I don't want to make somebody have a seizure or something, but awesome. And it is the T1 4T, and this is the whatever alloy. I think they come in like black too. But anyway, I'll have links in the description. Hope you like these. Today, this guy, I'm going to call him Mr. North Carolina because he doesn't want his name out there. Now he's a Marine, and he grew up in North Carolina, and the Bigfoot in that area, you know, they refer to as the Boogeyman. And the mother kind of played it off like she didn't know, you know, at first, didn't want to scare him, but they all kind of knew, you know. It was like, don't go outside after dark. It was kind of this thing. They had a sense, you know, and the mother would say this to them too, you know, don't go outside after dark, you know, at least without a flashlight and a gun. And very interesting story. So listen to it all the way through, and then I had emailed him, and he emailed back, and he gave me a better description of a couple parts that I think you really want to hear. This second description that he gave at the end, the second email, because I thought it was very interesting, and it might give a little bit of a clue why they window peek. So I hope that you enjoy this story from Mr. North Carolina. Mr. North Carolina wrote, "Hello, I wanted to tell you my story. Most of the reason is that I see so much false evidence on the internet. When this occurred, I was 15 through 18 years of age, living in the rural foothills of North Carolina. As a young boy, I lived in the woods and would only come home when I heard the dinner bell ring. No joke, one of those triangle bell things. When I was 15, our family noticed some strange things, but we would explain them away by thinking these things were happening because of animals around the area. We had moved into the house when I was 13, a house that was built on a hillside with the front door at ground level facing the road, and had a side door at the driveway just before it dropped down, and each side dropped off, going to the back, which had a basement with a door entry in the rear, which the woods were only 20 feet away, and they went back for miles. And about 50 yards back, there was a small creek which ran all the way down to a swamp area about a mile or so down in the valley. All was heavily wooded area with little pine and more of hardwood trees, and in some areas the brush was thick with briars and other shrubs. Their houses all close to the road, maybe 8 or so during that time. I'm now 55 and have only told these stories to a select few due to the fact that people would think I'm crazy. Now, granted, this area is most of all tobacco fields here and there, and also some located in middle of nowhere areas in the woods, which only had a cutout for tractors to get in or out, and yes, mules pulling sleds. No cars or pickup trucks for sure. Man, that was hard work. Anyway, we would sometimes have raccoons get in the basement, and what we thought was a skunk every once in a while if the door was left open by mistake. We only stored stuff down there and went in only every once in a while. We would sometimes hear something rubbing against the house on the sides. Sometimes at night, hear something in the basement. As a young boy, I lived in the woods and I loved to go squirrel hunting and sometimes deer, so I knew the tracks and scat. On these occasions of noises, I would look and didn't find any tracks or scat. I'm saying in the spring you could walk out the side door and startle a deer or two grazing just 15 feet away. You could sit outside and watch raccoons, skunks, and ducks and deer all morning and squirrel all day, nest everywhere. Okay, so I've laid things out for you to understand. Nighttime, we heard trees popping, being broken, and sometimes moving through the woods, loud huffing, sometimes rubbing against the house. The family didn't go outside at night without a flashlight and gun. We never talked about it. We just remind each other that was the thing to do. You'd go outside without a gun or a flashlight. I think we all just had that feeling and instinct. Two neighbors lived up and down the road that had hunting dogs, and when they were going crazy, we surely didn't go outside unless we were getting in the car. Like I said, we knew the animals and would just rationalize them away, explaining, yes, the smell was a skunk, and the deer were in rut and rubbing against the house, and coons were getting in the basement having fun foraging. But that's not what was happening. When I was 16, I told myself I would never work in tobacco again. I had several jobs. I worked in the city. I came home most nights late and tired from either school all day or work till late or just working two jobs during the summer. I would come in, everyone else was asleep. I would lay on the couch and watch TV to wind down. There was a window on the side of the house at the end of the couch where I would put my feet. This window was only 24 inches wide and about 3 feet tall. Outside it was also about 8 feet off the ground. Nodding off watching TV in the dark, out of the corner of my eye, I would see movement, but then I turned to focus, nothing was there. One night I was doing the same thing, and I heard something outside the window, which sounded as though people were talking. I blew it off at first, then saw movement again. So I decided to play asleep and squint my eyes as though I was looking like I was asleep. Then slowly I saw a face looking at me. Its face was up close to the glass because it was breathing and it would fog up the little glass. Yes, face. But not a face I'd ever seen. It looked like a caveman, ridge-browed, deep eyes, and black with its teeth that were big and square. Its facial skin was dark like tan and black in areas. Hair all around its face and no hair on its face, with just a little on its upper lip, with graying hair on its chin. Brenton, I have to say this jolted me to the core. Being 16, I was jolted and could not move. I continued to look at it. It was breathing heavy and moved my hand to wipe my eyes, thinking that it is this a dream? As soon as I did that, it was gone. I sat up and really not knowing or trying to understand what just happened. I think what did, I just witnessed. I was feeling as though something was watching me. I looked back at the window and couldn't see anything. I got up and grabbed a flashlight and beamed it out the window, and nothing there. I sat with the TV volume down, trying to hear anything. Nothing. I went to bed, but couldn't sleep very well, running the whole thing in my mind over and over till I was out. The next day, I had the same routine. I didn't say anything to anyone, even family. Came home about the same time at night, did the same thing, thinking, okay, I was dreaming. Sit down, unwinding with TV and lights out. This time I really felt I was being watched. Same exact thing happened, same face, except this time never looked at it straight on as the night before. I laid with my head at an angle where I could glance at the TV or the window without moving my head. I could see it getting closer to the window. It's the same thing or creature or whatever it was. I knew nothing of Bigfoot, never even talked with anyone about these beings. Come on, man, I was 16. The creature would move away as soon as I glared that way. It was pitch black outside, and we had no big outside light. On the side of the house was just woods with a small path that went beside the house. I finally got up the nerve and grabbed a flashlight and rifle and went out the front door, heading around to the side where the window is. I wasn't about to go any further because I was eat up with fear, really. I was physically shaking. I saw nothing. Didn't waste any time getting back in the house. My mother met me at the door asking me, "What's going on? Why are you going out so late?" We went into the kitchen. She could see I was upset, still shaking, and probably had that wide-eyed look on my face. She insisted that I didn't go outside so late because the boogeyman will get you. She smiled like a good mother does and says, "Look, you need to go to sleep. Don't worry about all this stuff." Little did I know she knew much more than she was letting on. This kind of stuff went on for about 2 years. No harm came to anyone ever. Occasional slap against the house to let us know they were there. Oh yes, I sometimes would see two faces staring in, one at a time, the same older one and then a younger one. Be the same, but all black hair. So basically one of them was the older one and then the younger one had all black hair. But they did look pretty much the same. That previous summer, I found 2 sets of footprints, one much bigger than a man and the other much, much larger, and I would think to myself, just how big are these things? The ground had water in it, but was hard enough for my shoes not to even leave a track. I had even asked some of my friends if they had been around my house that day while we were away, and no one confessed, but I never told them why. One day, Saturday or Sunday, I was at a friend's down the road at his house, and we were practicing with the bow and arrow on a deer pictured target, and plenty of woods backed right up to his house as well. We were in a yard on the side about 40 yards by 75 yards. In the woods off in the distance, we could hear like a baby crying. He said, "Wow, that could be a bobcat in heat." We continued to shoot at the target. It became louder as though it were closer. Then it turned into a high-pitched growl like a cat. He said, "Yep, that's a bobcat, all right." I said, "I'm sorry, buddy, but I have never heard a bobcat being that loud." It was as if it was right beside us, or a megaphone from the woods. It was quiet or subsided a lot. His mom had fixed us some iced tea, so we sat on his carport just relaxing and talking about setting up his bow. All at once, this thing started again, even louder. His mom came outside and said, "Good Lord, that is loud." We just agreed and walked over to the edge of the woods. Even my buddy was looking concerned. He said, "That cat sounds like it's right here," pointing to a bushy area not 10 feet in the woods. I told him the only way I'm going in there is with a gun. He agreed, so he went inside and brought out 2 handguns and a rifle and a shotgun. We loaded up, walked into the woods where we thought we were before, and it quieted right away. I asked him how a damn bobcat knows what a gun is. He laughed and said, "Well, at least it shut up." Let's put it this way, Brenton. I was home and inside before dark. After that, not 2 weeks, I answered the door with the 44 Magnum being put in my face with a voice that said, "Come on, someone's breaking in my aunt's house up the road in the basement." It was my friend from down the road. I grabbed a flashlight before heading out and a gun. He had a shotgun. We went through the woods up behind her house, lights out. Tough getting through the woods without making a lot of noise. We could see 2 figures moving about behind the house, very dark with only a little moonlight. Apparently, another neighbor was alerted because a car came pulling up in the front yard with the lights on just as they were on the grass. It startled us too, but we saw 2 big figures heading into the woods almost the same way we came up behind the house. They were very fast and no lights. We even talked to each other about this. How could 2 burglars get away so fast and easily without a sound hardly? We had turned the car towards where we saw them go in, and we took flashlights in with us. We even had someone call and alert a neighbor down the road in direction. I guess he's saying that it was in that direction that they were headed, these 2 creatures. Which meant they would go through the woods right behind my house. Needless to say, I had them drive me back. I was not about to walk the road alone, armed only with a flashlight. Everything seemed to be quiet after that for a while. I was coming to graduation, or it was coming to graduation time, And I was not only going to graduate high school, I was also going to go into the Marine Corps. So I had a party with all the folks up and down the road I lived on and a few of my close friends. Most parents didn't come except a few who wanted free beer. uh, we had a cookout, and most were inside because it was very hot outside. We had music playing and people talking. About 20 folks at the peak. Later or more went, outside in the front yard. After all, it was the only level ground. So towards the end of the night, things were quieting down. All of a sudden, I heard a loud thump in the back of the house, and I was outside in front. It was so loud, too. Just then, a group of teen girls came running outside, crying and screaming. Something big hit the house, and it was growling. I tried to calm them down, but didn't have much luck. These were country girls, and not much would scare them. We didn't have any bears in our area at all, except for the occasional wanderer looking for food. I was thinking, even with a bear, the party had so much noise that there's no way a bear would come close to us. Just isn't going to happen. Then I heard the growling myself coming around to the side of the house in the woods. I went in the house, grabbed my rifle, and loaded it up. I asked everybody to come outside, thinking if anything it would scare off whatever it was and find out who was missing, probably playing a prank, So everyone accounted for. He got everybody outside and counted everybody up, and everybody was accounted for. Most of them were quiet, except for some girls still crying and squealing, saying, "Please, please go away." I'm thinking, damn, they are really scared. I mean, some of these girls would put a hurting on most football players our age. They were tough, country girls. Anyway, I told everyone, be quiet. Down in the woods, you could hear this thing snorting and blowing and growling. It was loud. Whatever it was big, very big. We shined a couple flashlights and couldn't see anything, only trees shaking. I thought, oh God, if I shoot at it and it, one of our friends playing a joke, life is over. And if I hit it and it's something of what I thought, like Bigfoot, and I piss it off, man, I just don't even want to think about that. So now everyone is still quiet. So I yell, "Hey, if you're playing around, you're going to get shot. Go home." There was no reply. Just more of the same, and loud, like it was right on top of us. I yelled, "Okay, I'm going to put some lead in your ass. Move on." And the same. Didn't say anything back. It was just more tree snapping, tree shaking, huffing, growling. I said, "Okay, you asked for it." I pulled the rifle up and fired a round about 10 feet into the ground in front of me, and movement started. Trees and brush and bushes being thrashed. Crack, fired another. Howling, deep guttural yell came from the woods, so loud it seemed to vibrate your insides. It tore off down through the woods with extreme speed. You could hear trees being broken and big thuds of its feet hitting the ground. I was thinking, no, one man can run that fast through the pitch black woods. Everyone was a bit shaken by this. We had no explanation. Everyone went home. The next day, several of us went down into the woods where we saw where it had been standing in several places, big footprints. In the area where it had started running were trees about 6 feet up, where they were being snapped like twigs, and they were not twigs like the little trees. These trees range from 2 to 4 inches in diameter. The smaller ones seemed to just be plowed over, and it made a wide swath through the woods for about 80 yards till it came to a deer game trail. Then nothing. It's like it left no evidence behind from that point. Even today, none of my friends want to remember or talk about that night. But believe me, they don't venture into the woods alone or unarmed. I did speak to my mother some 2 years later about all of this while home on leave. She said, well, son, it is still here, but doesn't seem to visit as much. She said she never saw it and did not try to, but knew it had to be big from hitting the house. I told her I was sorry to leave her like that, but she said, "Don't worry, it's just the boogeyman." And she laughed. She added, "God put things on this earth that we don't know or understand, and I'm at peace with that." She was also half Cherokee. Her grandmother was medicine woman. She's a tough woman. But, she said that God put things on this earth that we don't know about or understand, and I'm at peace with that. Interesting. So that's my story, Brenton. If you like to use it, you can. And he said that I know they're out there, they're real. And oh yes, and coming from a Marine that's been in combat, I'm not afraid of that much, but I don't go hunting anymore, and never alone in the woods without being loaded for bear in the deep woods. And then he also wrote back to give me a little bit better explanation on these things looking in the window and what have you. He said to thank you for the reply back, and he said, I was just reading over what I wrote, and I left out a better description of their faces and what they did. It surely was not a mask, because their facial expressions were really telling, like humans, not like a monkey. The older one would shake its head up and down quickly and almost looked like it was smiling or snarling at me. Their eyes were looking around like a child looks around to something new. Like I said, this went on for 2 years, and sometimes one only, and sometimes two. So one would show up by itself, and sometimes it would show up with two of them together. If the lights were on, nothing happened, only when it was just the TV. So basically, if the TV was on and the lights were off, they would be looking in. The TV gave off enough light to see good. Only that one party night did we ever feel in danger. it was hair-raising. My mother told me some years later that she only felt threatened one time, seemed to have been hitting the back of the house with his hand a lot and pushed a tree over up against the house like it was laid there. Didn't even cause any damage. She lived there for many years, and after several more years, it all just stopped. She said she never heard another thing. I believe that's when more houses were being built all around the area. Anyway, take care and please pass this on. Thank you. So that's Mr. North Carolina's story. I thought it was very interesting, and the description of when he's laying on the couch and this thing is looking in. When he wrote the second reply and said that it was the older one would shake its head up and down quickly and almost looked like it was smiling or snarling at me. So I don't really know if it was smiling or snarling, but it said that their eyes were looking around like a child looks around to something new. It makes you wonder if being out in the woods, if these things are not really seeing that much new stuff, they know the woods very well and they live out in the woods, and that's their life. And every once in a while, when you're watching TV at night, these things sneak up to the window and they get to look in and see a TV show. Something very interesting. Something they haven't seen that much other than when they look in a window. So when it's looking in like a child looks around to something new, that makes sense to me. It was probably really glad to watch TV looking in the window, and don't know what show he was watching, but it maybe even has a favorite show. You never know. But thank you, Mr. North Carolina, and thank you for your service as a Marine to make it possible for us Americans to have our freedoms. God bless, and talk to you later.